Welcome to Heart and Practice, a podcast where heart-led conversations meet mental health practice. I'm Dr. Lakeisha Roney, counselor, supervisor, educator, and lifelong learner in this journey of healing and growth. Welcome back to Heart and Practice, a 5-part series giving clinicians, educators, teams, and caregivers day one tools to prevent burnout and rebuild sustainable heart-led practice. I'm Dr. Lakeisha Roney. And today's episode is all about what to do when you need to have a hard conversation and you want to do it with heart, not heat. This season 1, episode 2, Heart Led to Handle Others, Use Your Heart. Here's what I love about this topic. Being heart led doesn't mean being soft, it means being present and understanding while still standing in truth. Joining me today is Mecca Williams, a licensed professional counselor. Mecca, welcome.
Hi.
I want to share with the audience a little bit about Mecca Williams. And of course, she has a plethora of experience, lots of wonderful lived experience, work experience, educational, all of that. But Mecca Williams is an LPC in Central Virginia based therapy for 20 plus years of experience, helping individuals, couples, families heal and grow. Currently, she is a clinical supervisor at the Community Services Board and the founder of the Wellness Destination, where she mentors LPC residents. Mecca was a previous resident of mine.
Mm-hmm.
She specializes in trauma, addiction, anxiety, depression. Mecca blends clinical experience with real life relatability. She's also the founder of the Style Effect, a bold initiative using fashion to break mental health stigma in the Black community, contributing to Richmond's recognition of Black Mental Health Week each October. Proudly Petersburg raised.
Hey.
DCU trained and all about wellness with the style. So that's a little bit about Mecca. So knowing Mecca nearly 20 years, it might be longer than that.
Yeah. It's longer than that, I think, at this point.
I can't remember.
Because this is like, we met in 2003, as a matter of fact, when I first started working at District 19. So it's past 20 years.
Past 20 years.
2026. That's crazy.
I can't even think about what I was going through at that point. Just so young.
We were young and wild.
Yes. We had a great time.
Wild professionals.
Wild professionals trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure out our own personal lives while being career driven. It was wonderful.
Yes, it was absolutely wonderful. Mecca is also the godmother of my son, Cairo, who he loves and was kind of upset that he wasn't going to be here while I was talking to Auntie Mecca.
Yay,
Carol! I also have to let the audience know that I got to give partial credit to Mecca for the creation of Heart and Practice podcast. I was hesitant to even venture out to do a podcast because I listened to a few podcasts, but I didn't think it was for me. I think I had some fears about being out in public. I'm definitely a worker bee. I like to be behind the scenes doing the work. And I'm not necessarily the best person with social media. So this is new territory for me. And because of the fear and anxiety, I think it kind of held me back. But multiple people kept on coming up to me and reaching out to me on social media saying that I should start a podcast. So after me doing some self-reflection, just kind of going through some challenges in dating and trying to figure out what I wanted, what I didn't want in life, as well as turning 50 last year was an adjustment, not a difficult adjustment, but really trying to figure out what I wanted for the next half of my life, what I wanted that to look like, because I know I didn't want a huge caseload, seeing clients kind of doing the things that I had been doing for over 20 years. And I started focusing on doing these activities in a workbook that focus on healing your inner child. And I remember I called Mecca one evening because I became really emotional after completing this activity. And I was crying and because I had to deal with some deep-seated issues. And this conversation went on, I know, over an hour. Because when we get
Yeah.
on the phone, it
Yeah. Well, by the
becomes
time
a
we get on
myth.
the phone, we finally get on the phone, we don't get off.
Don't get on. It's like a continuous conversation. But of course, being the good friend that she is, she listened attentively and supported me as she always does. And this conversation went on, and we started discussing the idea of the podcast. And she said, I think you should do it. And I gave her some
Yeah.
ideas, and she was like, yeah, I think it's a good idea. So, Becca, would you like to give your take on what happened? My take is probably real sterilized.
I don't like. I don't really remember the full on conversation. I remember your concern was, yeah, marketing, being on social media, just not knowing whether or not that's something that you wanted to do, but it sounded like something you wanted to do because you did share that people kept saying, "Hey, you should do a podcast," and I was like, "Yeah." I think when I'm encouraging people to do stuff, I make it real plain and simple. I'm like, why would you? Like, yeah, you're right. You're already an educator. You're already, you know, this stuff. I said once you understand your audience, I think I gave you like ideas of, you know, who you, yeah, because you told me, you said I want to have a podcast for clinicians and upcoming clinicians. So you understood what the audience was. You already talked to that audience through teaching, through clinical supervision, and through just admin supervising. So yeah, why wouldn't you do it?
It was just anxiety and fear, because I'm overly anxious at times and I tend to overthink. I think that's a
I
part of my
mean, we all do, and it
ADHD.
keeps us stuck. And I think, I don't know if you're experiencing this. I'm experiencing it because I never would have considered myself an overthinker, but my anxiety has increased since being in a stage of perimenopause and going towards 50. It's very odd for me. So I feel like I'm already indecisive, but I'm having severe decision fatigue and all that type of stuff. So I can imagine that's part of what you struggled with while trying to make this decision or moving forward. But it didn't take you long.
No, it didn't. I
You
think
got the
that
pieces together.
the real push was my mom. Mecca knows my mom very well. And sometimes she can be very stoic at times. She's real matter of fact. But when it came to the idea of the podcast, because I've been on other people's podcasts, I've been a guest, and she's been a guest. And she's like, I really think you should do this. And I was like, she was being very positive and supportive. And the kicker was, I always call my mom, sometimes she's a miser. The kicker was she sent me some money. And I was like, Mom, did you accidentally send me some money?
Did you accidentally send me some?
I received the Zelle from you. Did you accidentally send it? Like, was it meant for someone else? And she was like, No, I sent it to you so you can get some stuff for your podcast. I was like, What? She was like, Yeah, I think you really need to do it. So I was like, Okay, if my mom
I
is giving
mean,
me
that
some
is a
money,
push. If somebody's putting some money behind it, yeah, that's a push. That's
right.
like a
So then
sign. Like I need to go ahead. They believe in me, especially your mom. Let's get this popping.
let's get it popping. So thank you, Mama.
I mean, and you don't know
Yes.
if you don't know until you try. You know.
You don't know. You don't know. And sometimes you have to be pushed out of your comfort zone, in order to make change, in order to grow. All
Yeah.
of us have to grow, continually
Yeah.
grow, because if not, we become stagnant, especially in our older age. And I don't want to
Yes.
be stagnant in my older age. I want to continue to
Agree.
learn and grow and develop. That is so important to me.
And doing this podcast, you do learn new skills. No, because
Yes.
whatever happens, you learn new skills. That's what I say. Any venture I go off into, I look at it as a challenge to learn new skills, whatever the skills are. However
Well,
this turns out, I learned some new lessons.
exactly. Exactly. So this topic of being heart led, came upon after thinking about my relationships with the people, my family members, and my colleagues and my friends. I feel that I have a wonderful village. Everybody is so supportive, but I do feel that my village is very upfront, honest, and genuine with me, even sometimes if it hurts. And that's what it's all about. When you have good friends and good family, especially chosen family, because they're choosing to be with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you can have these heart-led conversations with them, and they allow you to be vulnerable, and they're there to support you. It makes all the world in a difference. So before we get into our topic, I do want Mecca to share her origin story. What brought you into this work? And what does heart-led practice mean to you right now?
Oh my gosh, what brought me into this work? How do I tell this story in a succinct way that doesn't take a long time? This work, I was brought into it because actually I needed a job. That's where this all started. My path in this field was not linear at all. This was not my intention. I did not go to undergrad. I did not get my degree in this field. I got it in English, and one thing led to another, and I ended up working at a community services board when really I had no experience. I should not have been working in that capacity at the community services board. So luck and the universe brought me into this field.
I
Seriously.
understand. I understand.
And so a heart led practice for me, meaning practicing me as a mental health practitioner, because it's not about the physical practice, but the practice that we implement every day. It's about leading with intention and understanding your purpose in the work.
Most definitely.
And in order to do that, constantly being aware of yourself and working on yourself. That's the only way this can be true heart led.
Most definitely. I totally lead from that space of being very intentional and leading from purpose. There's a purpose that I'm doing this work. Um, there was a purpose that brought me into this work. And as long as I keep that in the forefront, then I can do the best that I can. And whatever I can pass along to that future generation of counselor, that's what I'm supposed to do. Now, would you say in your origin story, so I'm thinking back to your birth, your family of origin, where you grew up, how do you think
Oh,
that
that origin story.
how do you think that plays a part in the work that you do?
You said, can you repeat the question?
How do you think your origin story of like your family of origin, your place of origin, all of those things, how do you think that plays a part in the work that you do or getting you to go from English to counseling?
Again, it was a line, it was the universe. Because when I think about my origin story, my grandmother and her two sisters worked at Central State Hospital. Central State Hospital was is known historically as the only black hospital in the South, I believe, in the
My
country,
grandparents
possibly.
worked at Central State.
Yeah.
My uncles and aunt, my dad worked at Central State for a while. Yes.
And my grandmother in particular worked on the unit with adolescents and kids too. So, and that is where my story starts in the mental health field. I started first working with adolescents and kids. My mom, fast forward to her, she is a social worker. She has a degree in social work. She got her bachelor's from Virginia State University in social work. And she worked for Department of Social Services her entire career. She still works at Department of Social Services. So she worked with people, and it was interesting because growing up, I just viewed her job as all she did was paperwork, because that's what she would complain about. And I didn't really have an idea like what she was doing, but she always, and I would sometimes go to work with her. This is back in the 80s, 90s, and help her when I was a little kid and help her with this paperwork, meaning filing stuff and doing all that type of thing. And I used to say to myself, I don't, whatever this is, and I felt like she was underpaid, not felt like this was she also complained about it, and it was reflected in our lifestyle. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I wanted nothing to do with this. So that's why it's another layer of that is interesting that I'm in that particular realm and field. It's two different things what I do versus what my mom do. I'm more on the mental health side. I just took what she does, what my grandmom and her sisters did, and I just ran with it. I just took it to the next level
Wow.
by
I didn't know
getting a
your
like a
grandmother.
advanced degree and taking it
Right.
like in the licensure and all that type of stuff. So I'm just like a what is it improvement on their design. So that is what I would consider the origin story. And then on top of it, just in my family dynamics, I have lots of family members with mental health issues, addiction, all that type of stuff. And it also that's the work that I do.
Most definitely. Listen, I didn't realize that your grandmother worked on the child and adolescent unit at Central State.
What you say?
I didn't know that your grandmother worked in the
Yeah,
child and adolescent unit. Worked in that same unit when I was in college.
at Central State.
Yes.
That's crazy. That is
In Central
crazy.
State. Okay, audience. It's too many parallels in Mecca and I life. And this is one additional, okay?
I didn't
So
know this. Yeah.
no, I didn't. So Mecca and I were introduced by a previous supervisor that I had working in a prevention program at the Community Services Board. Mecca took my position after I left, and she introduced us. She was like, "Yeah, I got to introduce you to the person that took your position after you left."
I
And I
forgot
was
this
like,
whole story. I forgot this part.
"Gosh!" And she introduced us, and it was like we clicked. And then I found out that Mecca's mom and I served on the team with
Yep.
the Department of Social Services. I didn't realize it was her mom. And then I was talking to my mom about Mecca, and she was like, I only know one person with that name, and that's Mecca Williams. And I taught her in daycare. So it was like 6 degrees of separation. So this friendship was very intentional. This
Ordained.
ordained
It was gonna
relationship.
happen regardless.
It
Yeah.
was going to happen regardless. So I think it's amazing. So I do
And it's
want to
funny you
ask,
talk about the FAP team because that my mom was on the FAP team when you first met me. Yeah. And then when I was at District 19, I was also on the FAP team, and I'm currently on another FAP team.
yeah, all over the place.
Yeah. Family
Sometimes
Assessment
we do the
Planning Team,
things
people. That's what FAP team means. For those of you all do not know, it's called the Family Assessment Planning Team, a very important team for whatever locality you work in. Get familiar with this, a resource.
exactly. Oh my goodness. So, and sometimes you try not to be your parents, and then you inadvertently become like them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't never wanted to be an educator, and look, I'm a faculty member, so that happens.
Yeah, your whole yeah. You were improving on your mom's
Mm.
design. You got the
Improvement on my
advanced
mom's side.
degrees. Like you went a step above her. She's master's level, right? Your mom.
Yes.
And your doctorate, and then you took education to the so we just walking in those footsteps is quite interesting.
It's wonderful. Would you share a moment, maybe in your counseling work or even in your personal life, where you had to choose being heart led over being reactive?
What you girl, that's every day at work. Didn't I tell you I sit on the FAT team? I sit on the family assessment planning team, and I want to react because of the storylines that I hear, the excuses from parents, the work, the lack of work people want to put in. I every day dealing with staff when I really want to cuss you the fuck out, but
Right.
but I have
Exactly.
to be heart led and professional. So that's on a regular basis. Just like what you want me where you want me to start? Professional, like, yeah, let's talk about supervisor.
Yes.
It is, and I have empathy on the other side of it too, because like I've been supervised. I mean, I'm still supervised, right?
Right.
But when I'm having to talk to grown people about the work they're supposed to do. They know what they're supposed to. Why are we having this conversation?
Right. Do you understand your job description?
Yeah, it's like why and the consistently the same why are we talking about this again? So that's unnerving to me. It makes me want to react, but that is my childlike self, and that's about control, right? So I have to constantly remind myself I don't control anything. I can only make sure I'm doing the best that I'm doing.
That's it.
Step one. When my primitive self wants to cuss you out, but that's not good for anyone. It's disrespectful. I can get in trouble at work. That's an HR complaint. And it's not achieving anything. And it's a distraction from the work that needs to be done. So, yeah, on a regular basis, just supervising, I want to snap and be reactive and be petty. But I cannot, it's not good for anyone.
Exactly. I
So,
told
having the heart led conversation, being aware of myself, where is that coming from? And then just reminding, like, I don't control these people, anybody. That's on you. I got to separate, not personalize your behavior. So
that's the
I
key. Is
go
not
into it like just can be considerate of whatever they have going on, but also maintaining the fact that I have a job to do, you have a job to do, we have things to get done in order to do the best we can because the focus is the people that we're working for, which is the clients.
exactly.
So that's
I
that.
had a I had a resident to I had to have a heart-led conversation. It was very firm. And she afterwards she said, Dr. Roney, did you curse me out without cursing me out? I said, you can take it whatever kind of way you want. And I left.
That's funny because I've had residents accuse me of cursing them out, but I'm like, I didn't curse you out. But with residents, I have yeah, I've had more of the confrontation, not confrontation, it's not even confrontation. That's a clinical skill, people. Confrontation, by the way. Yeah, but I would guess I would have to say it is confronting, which is a
Yeah.
clinical skill. I've had more of those conversations with clinical LPC clinical supervision, which is different from the supervision I do at the CSB. Those conversations are different, and I think they're taken more seriously from them because they're career driven, they're focused. By the time people make it to clinical supervision, not everyone there, but in my experience, majority of the people, they're more serious about their career path. So
Yeah.
yeah, they may be a little offended about what you're saying, but they understand where it's coming from and the necessity when they reflect. What I
Mm.
deal with sometimes in clinical supervision from some people, and it's a certain type of individual, but it is what it is. It doesn't bother me any. That's on them, their personality type. But what I deal with more of, they get initially offended when you point out certain things, which is crazy because how do you think you're perfect and you're just starting?
Right. We always have to learn. And we're gonna
We
make
all have
mistakes.
to learn. So I'm just pointing out certain things, different ways to do things, and also, we want to give them props for what they are doing already doing, things to build upon. But I'm also my job is to point out things that you might want to think about, things you want to consider, because I've had the experience. But anyways, like with client, like thousands of times. But anyways, they tend to be like they'll get offended and go, and I'll just stare at them. You can see them come uncomfortable, become uncomfortable, come
You give them
undone. I'll
silence.
stare, yeah, and just look like basically I giving you the face up. I said what I said. I don't know what you want me to do, but then they become a little bit. They'll reflect.
Mhm.
That's my experience with in clinical supervision. They're more reflective, but other types of supervision, it's a lot of blaming, not taking accountability, that type of thing.
I
So it could
totally agree
be, it
with
could
you.
be, yeah. Sometimes I want to react,
I
but that's
sure do want to
ego.
read.
Just ego.
Exactly.
And in my personal life, your question was about how do I handle not reacting and
And being
versus
heart-led personally. Hmm.
the same thing. So in my personal life, the question is, do I want to be right or do I want to be in relationship?
Mm, okay.
So
That part.
again, like my initial thing might be irritation. My ego is in the forefront, but if it's my personal relationships, I care about those relationships. So things need to be addressed and we have to talk through them.
Okay. Next question.
Okay.
So, heart led leadership isn't about the absence of boundaries, it's boundaries with care. Would you describe how you demonstrate boundaries with care?
Boundaries with care and heart-led leadership, I would have to say just setting the way I set my schedule with people with clinical supervision. If there's too many, if on their behalf, too many reschedules or anything like that, or tardiness, I absolutely address that because that's setting boundaries with our time and respect, which I require and demand. Like having given them space to reach out to me if you need help outside of our clinical supervision hours, but putting parameters around like the type of help, like a crisis, perhaps, instead of just calling me or always asking, what do you think about this, that, and the other? So I have lots of boundaries and conversations around that in reference to our time.
Yes.
Because that's also modeling when you have to, like, as a supervisor, you're modeling professionalism and establishing boundaries, because that's what we want to teach our supervisees, to have boundaries with their clients and other people. So you have to model it as well.
Yes, most definitely. As a leader, you have to model that.
Yeah.
I have to do a lot of modeling with time, just like you. They know after about 7 o'clock, I would say 5 typically. 7 o'clock if it's a real, like something serious that can't wait until tomorrow. But they know after 5 o'clock, I turn into Cairo's mama. And I can't be answering calls and returning emails and doing all this other stuff because that's my home time. That's my personal time. So they try to respect that, or they'll say, I know I sent you an email late, but I didn't expect for you to respond back to it. I was like, well, you knew I was going to respond back to
Yeah,
it.
I mean, yeah.
I'll respond back to it
You
the
can
next
send an
day.
email whenever you want to send an email.
That's right.
Get to it during certain times, yeah. And that's not, and they all know this is not the only, I don't just do clinical supervision. I work a full-time job. I do other things. So
exactly. And even on the weekend, I'll see them sending emails 3, 4 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. They know I'm not going to respond back until Monday because the weekend is my time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't model that for them, they think it's okay. And hopefully they'll learn to do the same with themselves.
Yeah.
I do see a lot of them burning out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they refuse to create those boundaries. And I remember early on my career, it was hard to set those boundaries, especially when you work with kids. You want to save the world. You want to take the kids home with you.
Hard.
Well, you can't do that.
Early in my career, I did boundaries. What was that? What is that? Like, I'm talking about the stuff everywhere, just all the time, thinking about it, answering phone calls all times of the day. Just, it was ridiculous. Yeah. I didn't have a lot of boundaries. It felt like it was all on me. Like I'm some type of rescuer. That's no. Like no. And then in especially early on in my career as a case manager, there's no parameters that people will let you work if you want to just keep working.
And those caseloads.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people on your caseload. And you got to make contact like every 30 days.
Yeah.
People have no idea.
And then the hustle and the grind early on. So it was all just very overlapping and mixy.
Do you think that it was modeled well by your supervisors?
No. That's the thing. Like, I don't know if I had different types of supervisors in different places and spaces, but this, some of those companies that we used to work for early on, when I thought about this the other day, these crazy companies that had they were just there. The owners were not clinical at all, and they were just there to make money. Yeah. So there was an expectation for you to overwork and do all this output for nothing in return.
function
There
like
was
you're in
no
a
real
warehouse.
boundaries on time. Yeah, it was bad.
Because I'm like, we're dealing with people. We're not dealing with manufactured
Yeah,
production. This is not a warehouse.
I'm not in a factory. Yeah, and I
Yeah,
felt like a factory worker at a lot of different companies that I've worked for.
yeah,
And
especially
I'm
those
there to crank
for-profit
out
companies.
assessments, crank out seeing people, billing by any means necessary. And they in this field, I tell supervisees all the time, be careful who you go and work for, because these people will use you for your experience and titles
Yes.
with no
And
thought.
dispose of you quickly.
And dispose of you. It will not pay you what your output is worth. They have companies are violating labor laws all over the place every day. But when you're young in the field, you just want to people please and you want to do the best and be the best and want to be seen. That's another thing that we don't talk about a lot. The types of people that are drawn to this field.
Yeah.
A bunch
And
of
then
people
on top of
pleasers.
that, after, being overworked, sometimes they are underpaid. So they feel the need to have to work all of
Yep.
these hours in
Yep.
order to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Residency is a very difficult time for our folks because they're not getting paid what they're worth.
Nope.
They're like a glorified QMHP until they become,
But that's if they
licensed.
allow themselves. That's my job. Like my job as a clinical supervisor, I try to supervise these residents. I try to expose them to what is out there that they can actually do and the power they have with their level of their residents. You're
Mhm.
not a QMHP.
Right.
But these companies will use you like to do all the things. No, you should not be doing this particular type of job. You should not be
Mhm.
doing mental health support skills building, and you are a licensed resident. The
Right.
assessments, yes, not the actual work. That's the type of conversations I have, because a lot of them don't know. They just take jobs just because, and they're like, "Oh, I'll do it,"
Yeah. And we oftentimes
and
have
talking to them
to
about what they should be getting
educate.
paid.
Yep. Telling them what they should be getting paid. Totally. Totally agree. So, would you share some examples of how being heart led has had a positive impact on your professional relationship with clients, residents, or colleagues?
Oh, yeah. How being heart, just the way, because I'm heart led, just in general in this field, because I'm very passionate. That's a word and terminology that people have used about me throughout my career. It's passionate, and I used to be offended by it because I thought they meant something else. But it is what it is. I am very passionate and heart led. It shows up and it's benefited me because of the fact that I'm passionate. That means that I am always willing to I take trainings very seriously for myself. I try to implement the trainings and the knowledge, and I'm willing to share and to help and to develop people in general. And I've been like that. And then the same with clients. I am all about helping people become their higher self. I'm all about, and that's whatever position I'm working with the clients, working with staff, whatever, colleagues. I am all about emotional and psychological liberation.
Mm,
And because I lead with that and my attitudes, my thoughts, it has greatly benefited me because that people can trust that I'm going to put in the work and I know what I'm doing when I know what I'm talking about. And if I don't know, I will direct you to the people that do know.
that's right.
I don't play games when it comes to this field at all.
Me either.
I'm very serious about about the work that I've done, the foundations that I've laid, and about the field in general.
I take pride in being a gatekeeper. I do.
And I don't think we gatekeep enough. There needs to be more gatekeeping. It's all over the place right now, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. Yeah, you
I
should
take
be
a lot of
gatekeeping in
pride
this
in it
field. It's a
because I'm
sacred,
like, this is our field. We have to protect it.
and it's very serious. We're working with people. We have the potential to really help people. For real,
Right.
help themselves, because another thing, we are not their healers. We need to get off of that. Utilizing that terminology and considering ourselves healers. We are responsible for our own healing, but we're not healing someone else. What we're doing is helping them heal themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I name my practice Inner Self. My job is to empower the client to find their own inner self,
Yeah,
empower them to do their own work because it is their work. I'm
it's
just a
their
tool.
work to do.
That's
We
right.
just have we know the techniques, the skills, the tools to help them get there. We're able to help them see and become aware. That's our role. We're just facilitators in the process. We're not your this is your work. And that's for everybody that we are around. So that's why I'm here for all the liberation, freeing yourself and healing yourself. So that's what I lead with. So yeah, it has greatly benefited me because of I'm able to have good relationships with people throughout my years in this field. I know that I've been helpful and instrumental in with helping clients. Whatever they decide to take from it, that's on them. But I know where I stand and I know how I show up.
I love to see the end product when we have clients that successfully complete treatment and how proud of them I am. And for the little ones that I work with, giving them a certificate of completion and how proud they are of themselves, to say, I came through outpatient, I did well, and these are the goals I accomplished. And then with the residents and the supervisees, whether they're interns or students, empowering them to
Yeah,
become the best counselors that they can be and to develop their own skill set and their own style so that they can eventually start their own practices and start
yeah,
supervision. I love to see that for them. But I just feel that it's a calling because I had such good supervisors.
yeah.
I had
Same.
I had some bad supervisors too. So I learned what not to do from the ones that weren't so good. But the ones that were really good, it's so many to list. But Dr. Candace Blackroney, I'm gonna give her a shout out because she is one of the
Fantastic.
fantastic, the best
Yeah.
LPC supervisor. Linda Coles, all of those folks, they grew me and
Candace
asked for
didn't
nothing in
Candace
return.
Candace didn't play. You know this about Candace. And I know some other people that she supervised. She didn't play. I remember I worked with, when Carlton, was I even a resident at this point? I can't remember. But this when I was working for Carlton and he didn't have time to supervise. So he
He was
would
running the
outsource to
business.
Candace. So I remember Candace was like the first person that pointed out to me I was doing in home or something. And she would point out, okay, yeah, so why are you doing that? Because I had a habit of trying to wanting to do the work for them and all this stuff. And she was like, why are you're in the way? So Candace was one of those ones, okay, like she did not play games and she would confront and call you out.
Yeah, my
But if you want to
residents
grow, you would
always
you would look at that as a benefit because her whole she can like a therapist. She saw some patterns and saw stuff that I could not see.
exactly. My residents try to say I was hard. I was like, oh, you didn't have Candace as a supervisor. I said I'm more lenient. You all are getting the milder version. I said, but my LP supervisor was hard as nails.
Yeah,
Thank God for it
she
because
had
it
an
made me do it.
expectation. Yeah,
Exactly. So I just see it as me paying it forward for the work that they put in, the examples that they set as good supervisors. And I always tell the folks that I supervise that take what they've learned, but be sure that when it's their turn, that they pay it forward.
yeah,
Everybody needs to pay it forward. Same thing when people are starting their practices. Dr. Rona, you helped me so much. Somebody helped me start my practice. Now it's your turn to help someone start their practice.
that's good. Pay it forward. I like that a
Most
lot.
definitely. So, talk about some of the examples where Heart Led had a positive impact on your personal relationships, families, and friends.
That's just I think okay. Let's talk about you and I.
Oh, don't start because I'm gonna
We
start.
always have heart-led conversations. And I think it's great. That's why we're still friends 20 some years later. That's example. I mean, we don't need to get into every heart-led. We've had a multitude of heart-led, difficult conversations on I didn't want to hear from you. I remember like vividly with you saying stuff to me. Because Keisha, you could be mean as a friend sometimes, but But I would be an asshole too, but it would be like about boys and relationships. And a lot of that's what some of our conflict would come up with about like you would be trying to warn me or tell me something and I wasn't ready to hear it. And I'll never forget this one time. I'm not gonna go into the details of the conversation, but it was along the lines you're trying to give me information about a guy that was no good for me, and my reaction was probably minimizing, blaming some mess because it was a defense because it's embarrassing, right? Even though I'm talking to a friend, but I was just was not ready to let go or change or whatever. And I'll never forget you was just I cannot wait till you grow up. Like this bitch. But it's the truth. Like I needed to grow. I needed to mature and see that. I just, I knew that this shit was bullshit, but I didn't. Who wants to hear that?
And then some of my frustration with you is I feel like I'm your big sister. Mecca does not have siblings, so I'm her big sister, and she's my little sister. And some of the guys that she's dated, I'm like, I had to explain to her, I'm like, do you realize that you are a unicorn? And these guys that you are dating are lame.
And you always
they don't deserve to be around you.
You don't see it because like during those times, my end goal, I just wanted to be seen by a man. Like this might be the one, but it was nothing about that. When I reflect on those, I'm like, I was just passing time. Sometimes he was not aligned with me in any shape, form, or fashion. Not even then. Like, damn sure not now, but not even then.
And then there have been a lot of times that you've confronted me about some of the ways that I was carrying on family dysfunction.
Oh, yeah.
A people pleaser.
Yeah. That was early on.
Yeah.
That was early on in our relationship. Like, girl, why are you doing this?
I know. And I was like, maybe she doesn't understand. She doesn't have a whole lot of family. And then I had to do some self-reflection. I'm like, this shit is dysfunctional.
Like you were doing all the work.
Like, these people are not nice to me. And
no.
They sure not doing everything that I'm doing.
Like they're so mean. And then you still like doing stuff for them. Why?
Right. Just wanting to be accepted, wanting to be loved, and
the same thing, yeah.
And not having good boundaries with them. But the more boundaries I had with them, and I stopped engaging in the people pleasing and the dysfunction, either they eventually was sorted out of my life, or either they had a different appreciation, respect for me, because I finally had boundaries.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to have that friend, somebody in your corner to call you out on your stuff.
And it's interesting as we were talking about this, and I look at it as these are hard-led conversations, difficult conversations. We had different standpoints over the years, and as we matured and grown within this as individuals, the conversations are not like when we have those conversations now where I'm like, Keisha, have you thought about it looks different. It's not as like appalling or like because we're both more aware of our own selves. We're aware, so it's just like, yeah, I know, girl, versus defensiveness and that type of stuff, right? Which is beautiful that we are on parallel trajectories. Unfortunately, some of these conversations of how I've shown up in relationships have not worked out. These quote unquote what I would think I'm just being a friend and pointing out stuff. It's been offensive, and I'm no longer friends with certain individuals, so it has not worked out. But majority of the time, with the friends that I have, they've been in my life for a long time and whatever. Yeah, it has worked out because I don't feel like, what are we doing? How are we friends if we're not able to have these real conversations? Even if you don't agree with me or whatever the case is. Even at this point, I'm like, well, okay, I'm right. But
sounds like a lesson you got to learn on your own.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I got to let some. Now, what I do now, like some of my newer friends, I'm just like, you'll figure it out. I now kind of know how to navigate. Everybody not ready for all sorts of information at the same intensity that I can give it or level.
People
sometimes
misinterpret
I just don't say anything. Like, you'll figure it out.
Sometimes with newer friendships or certain friendships, even if it's longer, You got to know who you're dealing with.
Yep.
And some people just can't receive certain things
Yeah. At certain times. Yeah,
at
they
certain
can.
times.
And I've been too ahead of the game a few times when friendships and it did not work out well. But I'm
Right.
just like, all right, well, whatever.
One of the
If you think I
things
was
that I
out
had to
here
learn
trying
how
to
to
harm
do,
you, we
right?
don't need to be friends.
You
That's
all
the
need to
other
be
thing.
friends. Mm-hmm.
If you can't reflect, you may not agree with it or whatever the case. If you think I was trying to harm you, then we should not be friends.
I totally agree. I
Just
totally
let this
agree.
go.
Something I had to learn some years ago, because again, I'm a helper, I'm a fixer, is learning how to ask people, are you just venting or do you want my feedback? Because some things aren't meant for me to give feedback on. You just
Facts.
want someone to listen to you. You want to get it off your chest. You don't want anybody to try to solve it for you. And that's fine. If I know you're venting, you're going to get listening cues all day. Mm-hmm. How did that happen?
Damn.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. That's fucked up.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you say you want my feedback, the next question I have, are you ready for my feedback? Because you may say you want my feedback, but if it's not what you want to hear, are you ready for that as well? And for some people, they're not, and that's okay.
And that is okay. Yeah.
I will give you feedback to support your decision.
Yeah.
But if you don't want my personal, I'm not going to give it to you. But if you're ready for my personal, I'm going to give it to you in a very heart-led way. I'm going to give it to you in a very intentional way, and it's not going to be harmful. And that's hard. That's very challenging.
It is. It is. I just thought about but this is another a friend that I've had for a long time. He'll call me and he'll tell me like whatever the latest family drama that's happening. And what I ask him is, and I know he wants me to say stuff, but I ask him, can I say something? I'll just ask that. Can I that's my version of, can I give some feedback? Because by the time when he's calling me, you already know it's automatic. You calling me for feedback. This is beyond Vincent or whatever the case is. And our relationship, he's definitely receptive to the things that I have to say.
And that's
he's actually appreciative. So
that's a good friendship.
And he's the beautiful thing about it. He's like, I don't ever want to feel like I know the work that you do, and I don't want to call you and I don't want you to feel like I'm dumping and like you're back at work. And I'm like, no, like you're my friend. You're supposed to call me and have these discussions. I don't feel like that. Like I have space for you. And but I appreciate the acknowledgement,
Right. Some people I have to stop in their tracks and say, remind me of your insurance carrier again. And this is my co-payment for today. Because this was a lot. And can I refer you to someone else? Because I cannot see you. It's a conflict of interest.
Or those people, sometimes like some people, I'm like, I'm just like, this is not friends, just random people. Like, are you seeing a therapist? That's my way of, I'm not feeding into none of this. Are you seeing somebody? This sounds like a lot. Everybody needs support.
Yes.
Because I already know you're not ready for anything I got to say. You just want to talk. I ain't gonna say nothing because this is a lot. This is a lot. You need to go unpack somewhere else.
Somewhere.
I'm not
for some months or a year or so.
Yeah, you gotta. Are you seeing someone?
Like that routine, a routine weekly session.
And that is another heart-led boundary out in the world. Are you seeing someone that's heart-led?
It is. Oh my goodness. So before we finish with our podcast for today, let's give listeners a few practical tools that they can try today. What's a small habit that can help you stay heart-led before a hard conversation?
Oh, first of all, ask yourself, what is the intention of the conversation? Does every conversation don't need to be a conversation? What is the intention? Am I trying to resolve? Am I trying to get clarity? I want to, are we trying to get on the same page? Like, what is it? The first question to ask, what is the intention of having X, Y, and Z conversation?
Right. And with that intention being genuine.
Yeah.
The more you can
what
be,
is my intention?
mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of times we don't think, we just react and start having a conversation, but we don't know. And that's why the conversation becomes weird, and this person's blaming somebody's defense, because it was no thought in what was the outcome. A lot of it is just ego against ego.
It is ego.
The other thing to think about is, after what is my intention, do I want to be right or do I want to be in a relationship?
Mm-hmm. Great tip. And
if
then
you go in with I want to still be in a relationship with this person, it will change the dynamic of how you are in the conversation.
Right. And that's the same thing with intention. When you approach in a conversation with intention, you think about how you want that person to receive your message.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about you. It's about the other person.
And going into it with pure intentions, but also understanding you are not in control of the outcome, however the other person may feel. Your responsibility is to disseminate your truth. You're not responsible for their emotional reaction.
Exactly.
A lot of people avoid conversations in general because they might get mad. They might not like me anymore, or whatever. But if you know, you have that gut, we all have that gut feeling like, I gotta say this. You know those times, like back to supervision. This is I'm not always, sometimes I don't feel like it. I don't feel like going back and you know somebody like, oh, they're gonna get pushed back. But it's like, am I more concerned about me, not my own personal feelings? I don't feel like going back and forth, or I don't feel like dealing with their attitude, or am I or is my primary concern, should that be the growth or in telling the truth, giving something for them to reflect on, or me having something to reflect on? Which one is more important? My fear, I don't want to deal with it, which is avoidance.
Yeah.
So once you realize, you know what, this has to be said so everybody knows where we stand. Or am I just going to continue to like, oh, they're going to be mad?
Yeah. Or I don't want to rock the boat.
I don't want to hurt rock the boat. That's a lot of people avoid. Then it builds up.
Mm-hmm. And then our field does a good job, to me, encouraging us to push. Because I always tell my residents and the interns that I work with, if you don't push your client off at least one time, you ain't doing your job.
I tell all my supervisees that I did it. Like, if they every session they skip out of there, like, that was great. What are y'all doing?
What are y'all doing?
If your client don't leave at least one time ready to punch you in the face, I know that sounds extreme. Like they question this, but did that just, if they don't leave like that at least once, y'all not doing no work.
Because that's the storming phase of counseling. That's when the real work happens. When
the client is able to self-reflect, like, oh, this is why I'm at, that is it right there. And then they can come in and tell you about it. Then I have went over a bridge.
Yes.
That means your client is ready to do some work.
Mm-hmm.
That means y'all doing the work. That's the time. But you got to be able to sit in that weird, because it feels weird when it happens, when you know they mad at you. It feels weird, but you got to be willing to sit in it, because that's what you're teaching them to do. Again, is modeling. We teaching our clients, you got to sit in the feeling. Mm-hmm. We got to do the same. We can't just immediately try to rescue, change our mind. No, what I meant was, no, we're just gonna be silent.
I had this client to come in the next time.
We got to tame our inner people pleaser, because we want to make it better.
We want to make it better. I had this client to come in.
This field attracts a lot of people that struggle with people pleasing.
Right. My client came in and said, you pissed me off last week. I'm like, oh, really? Let's talk about this. And
Yeah,
you
thanks
looked
for
at me
telling
like,
me. That's it is a breakthrough. Like your honesty. Like I'm like, I get excited. Like, thank you so much for telling me that. That is so amazing and brave of you.
now let's process it. They're like, really? I'm not
Yeah.
happy to
Let's
see you,
talk.
but you came back.
Yeah, let's go. And if you're able to have this conversation, you can have more of this. Yeah.
Most definitely. It teaches them about emotional regulation
It
and
happens
how they can have
with
conflict.
supervisees be pissed off.
How they can have conflict and be challenged, but still have healthy interactions, and the
Yeah.
relationship isn't damaged.
And it lets you know they feel safe with you.
Yeah,
And
most
it's a
definitely.
respectful conversation.
I totally agree.
I love this.
And then after this difficult conversation, what keeps us from carrying it home and burning out? What do you do to keep it from bringing it home and contributing to burnout?
Well, it's natural to go into to ruminate, right? When these weird interactions happen, I just try to compartmentalize it, and when it enters my mind, start thinking about things that bring me joy, like my fashion, dancing, people I love, things I need to do. So for me, I don't have a lot of space to reflect on those. I have to immediately get rid of it because I cannot carry it with me all day long because it will fester and that
Right.
becomes unhealthy. I have to remind myself this is not my issue. And if it's my issue and if I need to do something about it, okay, what is it that I need to, what can I do? But if it's not my issue and I'm just ruminating on it because it was annoying, then I have to start thinking about more joyful things.
Most definitely.
I gotta let go.
The hobbies, the baking, the gardening, messing around with my plant. I have like a jungle in my office right now. Just keep on buying additional plants. All of that helps with the self-care, the wellness, being able to release. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Meditation has been helpful. Journaling has been helpful. All of those things help me be able to release when I have to have those difficult conversations. And sometimes I fuss and cuss
Me
because I got to
too.
get it out. I mean, I'm usually by
I
myself.
gotta get it out before like I told you, like when you asked the question about reacting, I have to do the whether it's I'm venting to a colleague or something, I gotta do that initial like, man, can you believe this motherfucking bitch? Fuck that. I gotta go through that
I got
first.
to get it out.
I gotta get it out. This is what it is.
Sometimes I'm in my car fussing and
Yeah,
cussing. I'm like,
yeah.
I ain't hurting nobody. I'm in here by myself.
Talking to myself. I gotta get it out. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's helpful.
It is extremely helpful.
Then I'll be like, I'll end it with to shift my mind. Fuck that shit. That's literally that's how I end it and start thinking about other things that I'm doing or whatever ways I want to be. I don't have
I want to thank you so much, Mecca, for joining us today. This was a really good episode. Lots of fun. You're one of the most hot-led people that I know, so I'm definitely glad to have you on the show.
Thank you for contributing to my journey on being heart-led.
Well, you too. The same to you.
Really contributed to my journey as beyond our friendship, but also in our career field. Isn't that kind of neat to be besties and then be in the same career? Like the career is what made us friends and meet and all that type of stuff. But you've definitely been you were like my North Star on what to do.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
You have been like just follow Keisha.
Oh. Well, I follow you with being more free and being more of myself and not people pleasing and just really being true to me.
That's so
important.
beautiful.
That's what friends are for.
Yeah, they are. We've been some great influencers on each other.
So, Becca, where can people connect with you?
Y'all can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Mecca Presents.
Mecca Presents. Instagram and TikTok.
Yes, I'll try to have some more mental health stuff up there.
Please
eventually.
do. We like that stuff.
I guess.
So, listeners, please share this episode with a colleague or a friend and identify one way you can become more heart led in your practice this week. One conversation, one boundary, one repair. I'm Dr. Lakeisha Roney. Thank you for listening to Heart and Practice. Remember, heart led doesn't mean you abandon yourself, it means you stay present, you stay true, and you can find us, heartandpractice.com, and on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. We'll put links in our show notes. Thank you again, Mecca, for joining us. I'm Dr. Lakeisha Roney. Thanks for listening. You can find Heart and Practice at heartandpractice.com, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn.